Hey, welcome to Internet Roundup. I'm Chuck Bryant. That's Josh Clark. We host the Stuff You Should Know podcast in this room.
Smells of it.
And we bring in 3 cameras, 2, 3, once a week to chat about the internet.
That's right.
2 articles at a time.
That's right.
Josh found one that's really interesting, and as usual, I found another that's not so great.
That's right.
It's kind of what we've been doing lately. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so let's start with yours. I think it helps to start out strong. So we did a great episode on podcast episode on bats.
Bizats.
It was remarkable in so many ways.
Uh-huh.
One of the most remarkable things about bats is how they hunt and echolocate, but this gets even more interesting now.
Yeah, because some researchers paying attention to bats hunting and echolocating have figured out that when you watch a bat hunt, it'll frequently eat one bug, and then within a second, it's suddenly onto another bug and eats a second one, which is really, really fast, especially for based on the idea that a bat is using echolocation.
Should we explain that real quick?
It's my bat.
Yeah.
And then echoes are coming back, creating what is essentially like a radar map of bugs in its area, right?
Yeah, they're not blind, which is a misnomer.
No, but they use echolocation to hunt.
That's
typically.
right.
So it's pretty impressive that they're able to do 2, and these scientists said, you know what? I think bats might be planning 1 step ahead, or 2 bugs ahead.
Like a chess player.
While they're hunting, yeah, and they tested it.
Yeah, this is at Japan's Doshisha University. And in 2014, Emyo Fujioka.
Man, that was some good pronunciation.
Thanks. He did this research, and they use microphones, and they listened. I was about to say looked at bats. I guess they looked too.
Well, they watched too.
But they listened. And what they found is that over 6 days, they observed 800 bat attacks, which is pretty awesome.
Right.
We're talking like insects, mosquitoes, and stuff.
Yeah, so who cares?
And they analyzed the sound recordings and reconstructed the flight paths in 3D. And what they found is they were tracking 2 bugs at a time.
Yeah.
And planning a boom boom.
Yep. They would they did it by watching their flight path.
Yeah.
I think they built a model first to see the most efficient way to hunt 2 bugs based on their hypothesis. And then when they watched these 800 bat attacks, that's pretty awesome. That's a good band name, right? Bat Attack?
Yeah.
They found that the bats followed that same trajectory, and they were like, we understand bats a little more now.
It's pretty amazing. They asked Fujioka, they said, they got greedy, and they said, could they target 3 bugs at once? Mm-hmm. And he said, I think they could probably detect 3 insects at a time,
right? But
maybe not. And I would guess because the insects are moving so fast as well, they just can't track and eat the 3 in a row like that.
Yeah. Plus, he surmised that they might be able to know that there's a 3rd one over here, but to base their flight path thinking that far ahead, maybe outside of bats' mastery.
You never know, though. One day, Josh, they might come down with the 3 spot.
Maybe so. 150 million years from now.
Now, 3 secrets about the $1 bill that are all pretty boring. It did remind me of the Dazed and Confused scene when...
oh, yeah, that was a good one.
When Rory Cochrane is talking about, looking at the back of a $1 bill and all the weird stuff going on. Mm-hmm. And how often do you really sit around and stare at cash?
Very infrequently.
And all the myriad weird symbolism on our money.
You got to be in college to do something like that. You know what I mean?
Agreed. Because you probably have cash a little bit. You probably have $1 bills.
Right.
So on the back of the $1 bill is an ancient Babylonian symbol, eagle with a ribbon in its beak. It's part of the Great Seal of the U.S. And apparently it is an ancient Babylonian story known as the Etana epic.
Right.
In which Etana, the gods select Etana to be a king, and Etana finds an injured eagle and rescues it. And the bird helps him fly to the heavens.
Yeah. A serpent had bitten an eagle in retaliation for the eagle eating the serpent's young.
Yes.
And so he helps the eagle. He's like, look, I got no skin in this game, but I hate to see an eagle suffer. So here you go. And the eagle goes, you know what? There's a birth plant that will help your wife produce an offspring.
Yeah.
Get on my back.
Pretty neat.
like you said.
I'm not sure why it's on the back of the dollar bill, though.
Yeah, because they were into all sorts of weird stuff. I think Rory Cochrane is right to an extent.
Yeah.
Those guys were into some weird stuff.
It was sort of hijacked for the Great Seal of the U.S. Because in the eagle's beak, there's no serpent, but that ribbon, E pluribus unum. How about the reverse of the Great Seal, which is next?
Well, hold on. I want to say something about that. Apparently, the eagle with the serpent shows up in other countries' emblems as well, right?
Oh, yeah, it's all over the place.
But this author just basically says, and that means different stuff for everybody. It's kind of a cop-out, if you ask me.
It's a short piece.
Okay.
The Great Seal reverse is number 2. The unfinished pyramid on the back supposedly represents strength and duration.
Yeah. Unfinished business. Sisyphean undertakings.
Perhaps. Very nice. And then there's that eyeball above the pyramid surrounded by the inscription Annuit Coeptus, meaning Providence has favored our undertakings.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like an excuse to do what you want.
And then here's yeah. And then there's another Latin inscription, Novus Ordo Seclorum. I expected like smoke to just suddenly appear.
Maybe that happened in post-production.
It means a new order of the ages, which if you weren't paranoid before, that'll make you super paranoid.
Sure.
And the author's like, who knows what that means?
No, it said it's a reference to the birth of a new Democratic Party and the beginning of a new American era.
Allegedly.
And then the hidden 13. There's 13 all over the place on the dollar bill.
Like there's 13 steps to the pyramid, or 13 levels, I guess, to the pyramid.
That's right. There are 13 stars above the eagle on the Great Seal.
Yes, the eagle's clutching 13 arrows and 13 olive branches.
Yeah.
Which it's like, which one do you want, the carrot or the stick?
Yeah.
We'll give either one.
E pluribus unum has 13 letters. Huh?
Just keeps going on like this for a while.
Annuit Coeptus, 13 letters.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the sides, there are 13 pearls next to the both seals on the front and back.
Boom.
And apparently it's all in reference to the original 13 colonies, the OGs.
Not a baker's dozen.
So no one has cash money in their pockets anymore. So who cares?
I wonder what our credits will look like in the future.
Yeah, we should break down what's on the back of a Visa check card.
Okay. Let's do it.
Great. So we'll be doing that, and we'll get back to you next week on Internet Roundup.
Ta-da.